What a turd.
But my husband's very narrow.
And what would you say are his characteristics?
He was restricted everywhere.
Which is that? I mean, so here's the thing: is we gotta. I'm kind of like confused a little bit in some of these things because I'm listening to like Bill Hartman stuff, and then I'm listening to some of this other guy's stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're saying kind of different stuff at certain points. I think we're on the right track. There's a couple things that I'm like kind of confused, so maybe we'll figure out a little bit as we go through it. I gotta go back and like watch all this crap, and I'm gonna start just emailing this dude questions constantly because I'm like, all right, well, which is it? In some cases, it's like, all right, this is considered like what we thought was biased towards compression, which compression would be limitation, right? Like all those things, which makes sense. But then they're also saying like, well, they're biased towards that, but narrow sometimes also means like their inhalation strategy is what they're biased towards. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought compression was exhalation. Like, so it's just kind of like competing things. But we're going to play around with some stuff today. No, Lisa? Okay. Okay. Well, come over and grab your sheet and a clipboard and a pen. All right, and over there.
I didn't notice. What the heck is that?
Did it take up the whole picture? That was such a fake. Oh, that was good. Grab your sheet, grab a clipboard, grab a pen, and we'll get going.
So I have even negatives in both. So I have 5 negatives over here and 5 negatives over here.
All right, so hang on. Was it narrow or was it wide?
Oh, I don't know.
So,
I think Elisa wrote that.
So
It was
I was
narrow.
so she would just check off that box.
So funny. I don't even know.
So I would just check off that box over there.
It was narrow.
So if we're looking at this stuff, it would then put us towards a bias of trying to give you some of this stuff back.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So that's the deciding factor.
Yeah. Yes. The infrasternal, from my understanding of all this stuff, the infrasternal angle is kind of what gives you like the rudder of the ship. Right now, you can kind of point in direction and go wherever you want, but it's going to kind of steer you towards something right off the bat. Right?
But are these? So I had questions about that too. Like, if you have more negatives here, are you more apt to be checked here?
So here's the thing: is like this is, and this is
Me, like I have like this is where like my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So
Internal rotation. That's like where I'm like the worst.
we're stuck at, right? And that's where I think like because we have all this over here, we'd want to try to get you this back by doing some of the things that are associated with that stuff.
Okay, so not necessarily work off of this wide infrasternal.
Well, so the wide infrasternal angle, the big thing with that is like when we do some of our breathing stuff, you won't go, I need you to get it all out. So this is what we'll kind of start with because these are all like really good questions and stuff that I think we need to be mindful of. Well, so what are you doing?
It's test prep.
I did lunches yesterday, but I didn't elevate my heels. So
Oh, you're testing. Well, wait. Yeah, I'll turn it off.
No, we just stayed. We're behind you. No. Yeah, like she's getting herself warmed up.
All right. So here's
I didn't want you to feel that.
here's what we're gonna start with. All right, because we've actually got some good questions that even I don't think I have the answers to yet. Well, not you. You don't have good questions. So one of the things that we had up last time was this whole kind of chart of what's on your sheet in terms of we have a bias towards like exhale, and we'll call it narrow, but I'm not sure that's the case anymore. The way you explained it the other day, I was listening to a video, and I was like, that's exactly the opposite of what we were doing, but it still seems to check out sometimes. So I don't know if he's talking about it in certain prefaces of like, in some cases, yeah, they are exhale to narrow, and we need they're biased towards inhale because of something else. But I'm gonna probably write this guy an email and be like, hey, can you just put this all out on a sheet so that I can look at it, as opposed to like you telling us through different questions whether or not it's the correct one or not. And then the other two is I've got other people who first introduced me into this stuff, putting out things that are contradictory of what they said like in their verse video. So I was like, all right.
sounds like the industry.
It is a little bit. All right, so we'll go with this for now. It may not be 100% correct, but we can still use it. The main thing is actually the fact that we're even looking at this stuff is the most important part, right? And if we can figure out some of these positions, some of these limitations, some of these biases, that's so perfect, then we can probably adjust some of these things that will allow us to make training either a little bit easier, we can make things feel better, but also give them stuff that they don't have so that later down the road we're not bumping into it, right? Elise had a perfect client in yesterday for an assessment, and she was like this perfect candidate of like, and I was telling Doug about it, my right knee is the only thing that hurts. She can't sit for very long. She's kind of deconditioned. And when we first went through her assessment, we just went through the top tier SFMA stuff, which was just toe touch, extension, rotation. And literally from like here to here, there was nothing. It was like a board. And she's like, oh yeah, my back actually feels really tight. Oh yeah, that hurts my back. Oh yeah, I feel tension in my back. And when she went to squat, she was just like, that's as far as I can go. And I think one of the things we'll start to see is, based on some of these things, we'd still do some of the normal stuff we would go through, but it should make it easier to find that pathway to get that to move around, like to get her to move. So what we did was she was still biased towards, actually I have her assessment right here. Again, like Noelle was saying, really hard to find her infrasternal angle. Like I couldn't. I'm like, hey, new person, let me just jam my thumbs in here, and I was like, take a breath in, like, breathe out. Like I can't even find your ribs. So I was like, you do it. You push in there, because I think having someone else's hands, like they were a little. She was like, so I just had her do it, and we saw it was pretty narrow. So she had a narrow infrasternal angle, and she previously had torn labrum on her right shoulder, so she had actually full range of motion and all this stuff, but it hurt. And then her right hip in external rotation and flexion was painful. And so when we're looking at this stuff, we elevated her heels to give her a little bit more of that like position in her squat, and she got much lower. We had her then do some just kind of breathing positions to get her left hamstring on, and that helped tremendously. So like we're kind of like jumping on all over the board, but just putting some of these other things in, because if I never elevated her heels, she probably would have never been able to figure out how to actually keep her torso up and go down, mainly because this was so stuck, she could never get into her ankles at all to begin with.
Did you say her right knee was the one that was causing her pain? So everything on her right side?
Everything on the right side, which plays into like kind of our PRI stuff, which is like everyone's got a right side bias. So for someone that's not really super athletic, kind of deconditioned, she's probably using this a ton to begin with, not really aware of it because she's never pushing herself past tolerance. And like the weird thing was like, it always hurt after sitting on a train for like 2 hours. Like that was the main thing that she would notice. And I was like, well, are you like sitting like straight up? Are you doing that? She's like, I don't think so. But it's still like, there's definitely something coming from this space that kind of plays into this whole thing. We need to look at ribs, we need to look at pelvis first, because those things are going to dictate a lot of the peripheral stuff. So we were talking about exhale now, inhale, and wide infrasternal angles, right? And then kind of looking down our checklist. And to Doug's point, he was like, well, I've got all this stuff on the left side, which is like wide and external rotation and expansion, and I've got a couple things on this left side. Like, what do I do? And I think the main thing is we have to be kind of smart with, do I need to address it because it hurts and I got to stay away from it? Do I need to address it because, man, some of the activities we're trying to do, he needs it? So if he's like, yeah, I really want to squat deep and I don't have the IR, the ER, or something else, then we have to kind of figure it out if that's his terminal event. If it's not, and we can get away with just box squatting him and he needs just general fitness, it might be a thing that we don't have to address. But the last part is, should we be giving stuff that he needs, or should we be giving him stuff that he's already really good at because that's the way he's kind of biased towards? That's up to you. Like, you do whatever the hell. Well, that could be that too. But, yeah. So like if yeah.
Well, yeah, because I have a new client that I just started with, and she's only bought like 3 hours with me, right? She just wants to train, but I did some of that, like you said, that top tier.
Yeah. Perfect.
And her posture, she has like no lordotic curve at all. Like she's straight up and down.
Yeah.
No pain anywhere.
Yeah.
She's dysfunctional in her toe touch, her hamstring always tight. Rotation to the left was fine. Rotation to the right, she couldn't really
Get,
get very far.
which is normal. That's kind of what we always
She's
say.
also the kind of person that just wants to get stronger, so I'm not putting her in postures that are, like, I'm trying to get her to be cognizant of, like, not being so, like,
Upright, rigid. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't have enough time with her to
So here's
take any, well, how do I correct it? Can I correct it? And do I have the time?
here's how I would kind of look at that, right? If we know that she doesn't have the ability to do this, right? Deadlifting's probably not a great idea for her. She can't find it. But because she's kind of already stuck in that upright torso position, you may find a huge limitation in ankles because she just can't ever figure out her hips, like if she's never done that. But if she squats well,
She squats well. I did do split lunges with her, and
Yeah.
she's good. She's got no pain.
So then-
that's what I do
yeah,
with her. And
so
then I
then-
do upper body push pull. That's what we do.
so that would, again, you've kind of figured it out. Like if you're saying like, wow, I'm finding there's a limitation someplace, it's not causing her to stop training, but if we keep going down this route and get stronger and faster and all those things, it'll probably come out in the wash at some point.
Yeah, I mean, she's a senior client. She just wants to
Yeah, so
be strong.
probably her biggest limitation then is like fitness, which is like, then keep doing what you're doing. You're nailing it. A good example, so like if we're looking at maybe like Doug's case, right, where he wants to perform more in this running and doing these things, and he keeps bumping into this limitation, then maybe we have to interject more of this other stuff to give him a little bit more capacity. That would be like, all right, well, then, Doug, you're not going to squat, right? We're going to more teach you how to deadlift, figure out how to get you in that position, maybe with the toes elevated and some of these breathing strategies, and we only go to a certain range of motion to start, might start to give him the ability to kind of go in between his maybe like bias towards something and give him a little bit more space in this exhale state, and that might be worth it for him.
It's so interesting because when I start with somebody, I always want to get them like kind of the full body. Where I want to touch every part and make sure they're getting a full body workout. And I don't think about, well, maybe you shouldn't be squatting or maybe she shouldn't be deadlifting. I want to think about how do I teach them to move in all areas, you know?
So there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's actually a really good idea. The only thing is like, if I want someone to buy into something really quickly, like we get buy-in really fast on our assessments because we can change a pattern that they're like 2 seconds ago, it's like, wow, that was really, didn't feel good or it's really stuck. And now it's like, oh, perfect, I can do it. So like, wow, this is magic. If I want someone to feel really good after training, I probably want to give them something that's easy enough that they can figure out, which means I'm going to, like, again, maybe because they're here, deadlifting is going to be like, right? Or they'll immediately just collapse because they never can find that. Or if we go with a toe lift, they might be able to get it easier. But at the same time, to your point, like, do they need to learn that movement? Not necessarily, right? It doesn't mean they're not going to be able to get to where they want to go. So if you can feed them stuff that they're probably pretty good at, they can kind of work hard in, and then they're good to go, they're fine. I was just talking to somebody. Boxing is like, people love it because you don't have to be a boxer, you don't have to be anything, and you can still go really freaking hard because everybody knows how to exert like a punch, right? Like they can just throw that, and really there's not a ton of risk. I mean, if they were maybe shadow boxing and there's nothing to hit, that, you know, constant deceleration might be something different. But for the most part, you can take anybody off the street, throw them in a boxing class, they'll be sweating their ass off, and they're like, oh, that was awesome, I feel like I really exerted myself. Whereas if you give them a weight training program, they kind of have to work up to it. They have to like kind of figure it out. They have to know what they're doing. So in that sense, we almost want to make that first part kind of like a boxing class where they get kind of a wide variety of stuff. They can work really hard. They're not going to blow themselves up. Maybe we use this to kind of orient that training program a little bit. But in the end, that's all we're looking for is to give them that kind of sensation or feeling. So I think you're right? How do we use this stuff to give them that initial thing?
She was happy. I helped her stretch.
Yeah.
She felt great.
Yeah.
This is someone who hasn't done this before. This is so totally different.
Yeah, she's active in the sense that probably does cardio. And probably did cardio her whole life, but
You know, but you're the expert and you're telling her, you know, this is what it is. And
So
back to the next.
with this girl that we went through last night, she had no idea how to actually do that. Couldn't posterior tilt, couldn't do anything. Couldn't do it in an all fours position. Couldn't do it on her back, which probably I should have known because she didn't have any adduction. She couldn't bring her knee down across the body, which usually gives us the idea that this thing is dumped so far forward that hip is getting caught in the acetabulum. So we stood her up and put her against the wall and had her do a wall serratus squat. And the first day she goes, oh my God, this is so weird, right? And I'm like, interesting, right? Like you would think like, yeah, it feels kind of different, but you just saw this like light bulb on her head go off. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been here before. And the way this was so, like literally, I thought she had like a rod stuck in her like lumbar spine.
the one who squats like
No. It could be, I don't know. But I was just like, holy.
Like a baby giraffe, she was.
It could be. Well, so what's interesting is previously on Monday, I had a very similar person come in who had like sacral pain, and I was like, all right, show me a toe touch, and literally kind of like what Elisa's kind of does is she did this like, it's like, as far as I can go, it hurts. Yeah, and it's all because her main way to understand stuff is through yoga. And even after doing a bunch of breathing things, again, she couldn't figure out how to do some of these flexed positions. She immediately would always just revert back to going down like that. And I'm like, until we change that, you're not going to be able to get this to like move. It's just like she's stuck there the whole time. But so here's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over how we use some of this stuff with squatting, deadlifting, single leg deadlifting, split squatting, pullovers, plank with heels on the wall, some bench pressing, bear and crab walks. We're going to talk a little bit about like what actually a neutral spine is, where do machines fit into this, eccentric orientation and concentric orientation. I know. So we got to get going because maybe if someone showed up on time. So first things first, let's go with squatting. All right. So we'll get some kettlebells out for like heel and toe lifts. All right. If you are a narrow infrasternal angle, I want you to use a heel lift. If you are a wide one, I want you to just try it without anything first, and let's just kind of grab your sheet and just kind of find a spot. Grab one more set, all right? Because I know Doug's wide, and everyone else is kind of narrow, so we should be okay with this. Oh. So then, yeah. So maybe grab one more set. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back with like, I'll partner with you. Okay. All right. We'll play with some exercises. Then we'll quickly just check to see if anything's changed in our stuff. And then we'll kind of see how it works out. And we're going to try and make it hard or easy as we go through it. All right. So you're good down there. So Doug, you and Dylan, Karen, you and Lise, and then Noel and I. So the first thing we're going to do, so Doug won't use the heel lift first. Then maybe try it and see what you notice. So don't worry about the toe lift yet. Okay. When we go to like deadlifting and stuff like that, we'll probably bias you that way. But what I want you guys to think about is the other things we're going to be kind of keeping in mind in some of the stuff is what they like the propulsion phases and where is it necessarily oriented in terms of the position. So like one of the things that they were talking about is I can have a concentric orientation in this bicep curl at the elbow, right? But I might have an eccentrically oriented one more at the shoulder, right? So it's never this like lever system that we've always thought it to be. Like if this is my curl, I'm concentrically contracting. I may have it eccentrically oriented someplace else. So I can change how I want things to move. So if I need ribs to move and open up, I may bring an arm way back into this open position and then try a curl with an externally rotated position, which will bias me to inhale more on that side. Right? So we can start to turn some of these things into an exercise that gives me a little bit more capacity to do things either we need or I'm already good at. Right? So if someone comes in and like, man, my elbows freaking hurt when I curl, maybe it's because they are a wide infrasternal angle and we've got them like this and they're doing this. Maybe we close them, do something to put them in, and maybe we internally rotate, so maybe a reverse curl might be a way better option for them because now we're going into some pronation instead of supination. And all of a sudden they can still train their arm the way we want, but we're not exceeding the capacity of that tissue. Okay? So we're going to go with, if we're narrow, we're going to go palms up, right? We're going to turn our toes out just a little bit. We're here. We're going to go inhale through the nose, right? Open mouth exhale. We're going to drop all the way down and then come back up. All right? And I want you to just do like 5 of those, and then we'll check some things that were bugging before. All right, you're going to go hands down and just do regular squats. Yep. Hard exhale out through the mouth. All right, so we're just going to do like 5 reps of that stuff.
Jeff, when you do the hard exhale out,
yes.
Am I also focusing on tightening this or just?
If you breathe hard enough, the natural thing is the internal and external obliques or the external obliques will automatically pull it down in position. Okay. So if I just use my air, you should feel these guys tighten up automatically. All right? You swallow your gum? Just at the very bottom, take another cycle of breath. right? So we'll do 5 reps, all right, and then let's check some stuff on each other. Let's go back and let's check some hip stuff and just see where we're at and maybe infrasternal angle again. All right, so lie down. So last time we needed hip flexion. All right, so we're going to bring this. Yeah. What do you think? That's actually pretty good. That one feels a little different. So what did you notice with that one?
It hurts anyway, because that's my
Bad knee. Did you play volleyball last night?
Monday.
Was it bugging you after that?
Yep.
What are you weighing right now on there? Anything?
KTT.
I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel it. All right, so let's go with extra rotation. Let's see what we got here. That's not too bad. And IR. Oh, that was perfect then last time. Good. Let's see what we got here. That's not too bad either. Ooh, and that's good.
Yeah, because I was somewhat limited on
Yeah. Yeah.
the external, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, negative. Yeah, you didn't have it, right? Hip flexion on both was good, but ER on the right, you kind of picked it up on both those sides, which is good. I know. It's awesome. Let's check shoulder overhead flexion in IR. Ugh. Noel, what the hell? Ooh. Man, that's pretty stiff too. All right.
Can you feel a difference?
I was thinking about when it would hurt.
Yeah, you're definitely favoring that leg. All right, now you want us to go on.
Check some of the stuff check things that have minuses on them. Or pluses. No, minuses. Check things that have minuses. All right. So what did you feel when you were going up and down? Easy, hard?
Easy. Pretty easy.
Easy, yeah.
I mean, I was squatting earlier.
So it's already kind of like loose. But do you normally feel much better after squatting?
Not much better.
Like, would you feel things actually move better? Or would you say, like, I feel kind of tight and just kind of things are active?
Just fine. Active.
Okay. Because, I mean, that's depending. I remember you used to squat pretty low to begin with, right? But it used to sometimes come at a cost.
Yes.
Right? And then we kind of got the left
That's
adductor
fine,
on.
right.
Yeah.
I've been working on that. I did move it out a little, and I like to point out.
Well, so
It helps my knee.
It should, right? Because you need to get some expansion to get in that position. Interesting. Okay, so what's up with these shoulders? What are you noticing?
I don't know. You know what? Actually, I have been strengthening my rotator cuff lately.
This isn't
and
your
it's
serving
not
arm, though, right?
No, I'm
Yeah.
right.
So why the hell is your left like not?
I've been consciously doing more rotator cuff stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been feeling better.
Better,
It's
okay.
not in pain anymore.
Okay.
It's just stiff.
Stiff. All right. So let's try a quick thing. Let's go here again. All right. I don't know if it'll work. We'll take our left arm up and we'll turn it out. All right. And we'll just kind of keep this guy down here. All right. And we're down like so. Thumb down. I'll be at. I'm just gonna go down. Wait a minute. Same breathing. Yeah. Try that. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Cycle of breath.
I told him I wasn't sure if I could come.
Yeah, just do a couple. As long as it doesn't hurt, just kind of think. What have you guys noticed?
I noticed that when we started that leg like that,
Yeah.
and she's normally like that,
Yeah.
it lifted when I put her this
Do you know
way.
how much fatigue is right here just trying to keep my foot up like that?
Yeah.
So when she's out here,
It's so hard down here for me to keep my foot this way. Like there's fatigue in my
And then
leg
yeah.
because
but
this
it's
is what my leg does.
It's this hip that I'm checking. So,
But this is the one it's negative.
So what have
so
you?
after the squats, I felt better. After today,
Right.
Was there pain?
In my squat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's check your shoulders. And so
My hip, though, my knees.
I know. So would you say it got better or worse?
That's different.
How?
It doesn't feel. I don't feel. It doesn't feel stiff.
So
I didn't really feel any pain at all. Like usually something.
That's still pretty stuck.
That was pretty cool.
Most of what it might be is like in your training stuff. Maybe do like a couple of just like overhead squat. Yeah. And just see what you notice. Now, here's the note. If it comes at like this, you definitely have to have your heels elevated because you're not going to have the shoulder range of motion because that chest has going to have to pitch. Yeah. So you know what? Let's just play with it with the dowel. So maybe let's go palms that way. Yeah, and try it and just see what you notice.
Get my heels up.
Yeah. What's up, stud? So we used Sarah kind of as a quick case study this like at the beginning of someone that just had like no movement in that spine. And we're like, holy crap. Like you saw, that was like pretty.
She's got like almost a hole.
Yeah.
Like it was so.
Yeah, there was like nothing. I was like, does that ever flex? She's like, nope.
You're saying by doing that one, the stuff on here should be better than last time we did it.
So we should be knowing a little bit of change if it's correct. So like this is the other thing too is like. All right, so Noel, do me a favor, just tuck this a little bit, right? Yep, tuck your ribs down a little bit, good. So take a breath in. Now exhale and start to drop straight down. Let your knees go forward. Doug's going to hinge in a second, right? Can you get any lower than that when you go down? Try it. So tuck the tailbone a little bit, yeah, and then drop straight down because this will be a good, yep.
Then I start to feel pain in my left knee.
Knee. Okay, so we have a limitation. Good, come back up. All right, good. So come down. Let's just check that overhead position one more time. So this is we'll use this as a good segue to start talking about neutral spine a little bit. That feels about the same. Yep. All right. So what's interesting is when we add in that right shoulder in that overhead position too, I think it's like too much. Yeah. Right? We're almost driving air back into like probably one segment that we shouldn't, and that stiffens up a little. Yeah, just to try to get that right side open. All right. So. Okay, so knee bugging you at all or no?
With that, I felt a little with the hip, with the heels up. I didn't feel it flat.
You put your toes up or your
So Doug's a wide ISA, so he shouldn't. But here's the thing though, is he's biased towards that. So he should technically be pretty good at that, right? To having his heels elevated. He's biased to like what we would say inclination. So if he's here, right, and again, this is like the thing, so we're going to play with it in like 2 seconds, but when we're talking about a neutral spine, the way that I think explains it, that sounds the best to me, is like it should be one that is adaptable to the motion, right? So like we don't want someone going from like here to there at the bottom. What I want is something that's going to kind of be able to hold its position a little bit, and that's where we usually probably get a little bit of tuck because we may be in a little bit of hyperlordosis to begin with. So if we just kind of tuck our tailbone a hair, reach here so that my ribs are back and everything's kind of stacked, and then I should be able to kind of get down there without changing too much. If you're noticing like someone at the bottom looks like this, right? That's not necessarily hips moving anymore. That's the spine going into flexion.
When he had you tuck, would that help you get deeper in your squat?
I didn't really know. What I noticed was when I got down there, it hurt my knee. So maybe I did get down lower, but my knee didn't.
But the knee's a limitation. The other thing too is, so what we also want to think about is Doug's got to let these knees go far, 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 far forward, all right? Because you're going to have the shin come back at some point. So like for people that feel like they're going to fall backwards, right? If that shin doesn't come forward at all and they just stay here, as soon as I get here, it's got to go back again to get all the way down to the squat. So if you look at my squat, right? I'm here. I'm going to let my knees go forward. I'm down, 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 down. You see how they come back right at the very end, right? So the thing is, like we were just talking about this earlier, is like the whole idea of like knees over toes. I think it's where we get kind of a bad part of it is if I have someone that's really stuck in extension and I've got this pelvis like this, and then I go down, all of that torque is going into that knee. The other thing too is when we shift the pelvis that way, I don't think the quads are in a great position to do what they're supposed to. So Noel, just try this real quick for me, right? If we go here and we tuck our tailbone just a little bit and we hold this position, and then you let your knees go forward and just kind of hold that in that mid-propulsion phase right there. Tuck your tailbone just a little bit more. Yeah. Do you feel your quads working much harder?
Yep.
So that,
Fine.
breathe a couple times there. Take this arm up.
Now hold it for 10 minutes.
Don't fart. I said don't fart all out. right, so go in through your nose, blow. Okay, one more. Good, and let's lie back. Good, right, so you start to feel that fatigue, right? So we're starting to kind of get some of these sensations that maybe we don't feel as much when we're doing like our normal stuff and without a heel lift and without a tailbone. So let's go lay down, let's just check. So one thing was she was having pain in her hip flexion.
Ow.
Still got it. Again, that feels
my
much
gosh,
better.
I can touch the ground.
Yeah. So again, that change. Yeah, I was right there. So 2 seconds ago, when we had her do both hands up with the stick. It actually reversed that.
Yep.
Right. We just did one hand up on the left side and the right hand down. We did that twice, and both times it's restored that overhead flexion. All right. So that's where we can start to bias some of these things. So if you said to me, all right, well, what the hell does that mean? If Noelle still kind of wants to train, right, I would say, cool. She could probably go with like a one-arm kettlebell overhead squat, and that'll help hopefully restore left overhead flexion in her side, but she can still get some fitness. She just has to be like smart about how she does it. So it doesn't just feel like doing rotator cuff exercises the whole time, because, I mean, it's decreased pain, but it hasn't necessarily given her all that back.
Right.
Right? Especially for someone who plays volleyball, you would think that right side would be a little bit more jacked up. All right, so let's flip it around. All right, so Doug's going to do now toes up, right? Hinging, okay? And the rest of us will just do regular hinging, except we're going to go, so if we're narrow, we want to kind of promote some like extra rotation. So what we can do is we'll go here, across, and drive up, and hold that. Now normally, we could use something like this, and that would actually drive more extra rotation in there. So if we're driving flexion and extra rotation, we're probably going to get a better inhale strategy. You get what I'm saying? Here. So Doug's still going to go toes up, reaching out, and kind of reach back. So let's go, yep. We'll go here. Elbows kind of go up.
We're not
No elevated. Right? We're just going to try to sit back and find that position. Yep. You're good. Right, so open mouth exhales on our narrows, blow the air out hard through our. Just go. So just find your heels and find your like hips and hamstrings. Right, so what are you noticing? What about here?
No, hamstrings are on for sure.
Okay, so come on back out of that. So here's the thing, is this. Let's actually, I want you to actually. You know what? No. Here's the thing is, do the heel lift.
Stayed there a lot longer than I can, but the squat's terrible.
Do the heel lift. I think we'll try this. And this is going to be interesting. Why not? Why?
Rather than lift all day long on the
CPR
squat.
bleachers for 2 hours.
How does that feel different?
A little bit more hamstrings.
All right. Give me a nice in through the nose. Exhale out. Tuck your tailbone just a little bit. Now what do you feel?
Less hamstrings.
All right. Anything else?
My knees aren't connecting.
Good. Stand up on that.
Nothing else. That was it.
All right. So do that again. Just kind of find that little different tailbone position, and then I want you to have Karen check some of your stuff and see if it changed. All right. Let's go back down.
Are you pushing as hard as you were before? Okay. It was less painful, actually. Which seems weird.
Let's just check something here real quick. So we still haven't gotten any IR back. What do you notice?
When I do it elevated,
Yeah.
I feel it
Way more.
almost 100% in my
Yeah.
hamstrings.
Yep.
When I do it without,
Yeah.
I feel it in my low back and radiating around the side of my hips.
Right? So that's where, cool, if we give you something that is going to force you to sit back further, you're kind of like, oh, I normally want to go a little bit forward first and then come down. I'm going to have to feel that guy doing the work. Right? So, like for you, like, yeah, we want you to deadlift. Toes up would probably be a great idea to do so. So what are you feeling?
Just right here.
Perfect. So do that, and give me this nice in that bottom position. Get 3 breaths there. right, so remember with overhead, and come back up, with overhead flexion, right, we want to fully externally rotate this and hold the rib down. Breathe. It was tight. I had to really push. And she went, so here's the thing. She immediately just goes, it's like, she's in a battle. Yeah, she's in a battle of something. So anything change?
What?
Anything change?
He said my internal rotation on this side is actually better.
There. All right. Alicia, did you grab a sheet? Grab a sheet right there.
I know, I hear you.
A little more.
It's the whole
Thing. So here's what I'd be curious about.
I hate my new chair. I got one of those new ESPN Air.
Oh, this thing's fucking suck. So give me a breath in. Blow out hard. Hold that. We hang on. Yeah, good. Roll it. Foot, arm down. Yeah, still about the same. All right. At first, I was like, I didn't think that was gonna work that much, and then I was like, oh, there's go right. Yeah. You know what, Doug? Bring both knees up. Right. Scoop this up just a little bit. No. So just like roll your tailbone up a hair. Yeah. We're gonna do. Good. Breath in. Blow hard. Good. Breath in. Yep. Blow hard. One more. Blow hard. Good. Now try it.
No, you're right with Nick.
Different? That one still feels kind of stuck, but
They were getting the cable.
yeah.
This one came way down.
So the thing that we're really looking at is like this pump handle here, right? I'm just forcing it kind of down on that exhale to kind of guide it, and then I'm letting you pump it back up full of air, and then going down. If it stays stuck in that up position, we're gonna probably lose that IR, right? Which is it's the same shit. Like remember we said, oh, bench press didn't feel bad when I kind of held that. It's the same thing. Well,
That one a lot farther.
all right, let's because I'm curious with this one. So okay, take a breath in. All right, give me that nice smooth back, blow exhale out. Straighten your right leg out, Doug. Yeah, and then blow one more time. Good. Try that IR. Okay, so it's about the same. Good. All right, so what do we know?
Working on it for 2 weeks. She was dying to get positive. It's been bothering her.
So is this like 100? Is this a 100 score on the test?
So do I have an A
Yeah,
or a B?
So can you tell me who I'm better than?
This one is definitely. Like, no big deal, right?
I think it's broken.
How was that rotator cuff?
This, she comes up right
Yeah, it's just a little bit. All right, good. So let's look at. So that was. So hang on, no, like we saw heels elevated squatting with an arm up definitely changes some stuff.
Yep.
We saw that actually heels elevated deadlifting, correct? All right. Well, so then all right. So what did anything change? All right. So nothing from you. What did we just check anything on you?
Oh, we didn't do anything.
Been over here chatting the whole time? All right. What changed on you? Anything? Anything changed?
Yeah, because your hip flexion, you didn't have the pain.
Yeah, I have no pain in my hip flexion.
All right. And so what do you think worked? Heels up squats.
I think I've been trying that lately.
Okay. And what have you noticed? Okay. And then for hey Douglas, wait 1 second. We'll get there. So, but with you, we noticed hip IR came back a little bit, and actually when we did this, we got some shoulder IR back too. Right. So here's something interesting that would be kind of weird. Right, we have this, there's another like TPI screen that you can do where we go into this position and then see if you can roll. Remember we did this a while ago and kind of go through this? Yeah, and so it almost feels like a tremor, right? So that's usually our stability motor control function, kind of like being like, we don't normally do this, right? Try doing it with your heel.
Good feeling?
No. It should be smooth. It should be smooth. It should just be like, that would be like, if we were to do hip flexion,
Sometimes it gets smooth.
so that's because you're retraining the brain. But if I were to, that would be like this looking like hip flexion. Right? So I would be curious, because I had a little bit of a tremor there too. Is it less? No. So try that without it, and then try it with a heel lift and just see if you notice any difference.
Without the heel.
Yeah, try it without the heel lift, all right? Because that's ultimately kind of what we're looking for, some trunk control in that position. What just cracked? Oh, she's got a huge tremor going to flexion. All right, so now try it with the heel lift and just see if you notice anything different. Like, cycle some breath. Yeah, and now try it. Easier or harder? What keeps clicking on you? Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's your knee?
I wonder if the audio picked it up. All right. Well, I was curious. I didn't know if it was going to actually change or not. All right. So what we're trying to figure out is, all right, we still need to figure out some stuff with you as to like where to go. We'll go with split squats in a second. But in like your guys' cases, right, you can use some of that stuff even as a warm-up, but to still, like, you can even train it to get some more out of it. In Doug's case, we're going to go check in a second for some deadlifting with the toes up to see. But let's move on to some split squat stuff because I still want to get to some lower body as well, or upper body as well. So let's grab these steps real quick. So if we're going to do some split squats, for my people that are the narrows, we're going to put a kettlebell underneath the front heel, all right? And for the wides, we'll put a kettlebell underneath the toe. And you can either do just a regular split squat, or you can do like a reverse lunge. I don't care what you try. Just try something with, yes, yeah. And then we'll have everybody kind of come with this front foot elevated position and kind of play with some of that stuff too. Unweighted, right? So I mean, like if I'm, for me, right, I'm going to be here, same thing. I kind of want to get my knee to go forward, drop down, and be able to push through that heel and come up and down. If I'm the other way, I kind of want to still let that knee kind of track forward, but it's going to force me to find that heel a little differently. All right? And you guys would probably be beneficial to go thumbs down and reach forward so that rib kind of gets pushed. Yeah. Now remember, we still want to load the front leg. I shouldn't be putting all my weight into that back foot and transitioning back. And well, what do you notice when you say it helps a lot? Nay, it just feels different. Right?
I feel like I'm getting the work out. Getting the work from it, but
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it.
What do you know?
I don't know. I feel like
All right, so here's the thing. Let that knee go as far forward as it can right off the bat. That better? Which knee are you
I
feeling?
think because I might have had my
Oh,
foot
okay.
up too
All right,
much
yeah, try.
before. It's not bothering me now.
Yeah, that's like perfect. Right, just keep reaching this knee forward. As we go.
The stability exercise.
Side. All right, so if I have someone that is a little bit more, so you got to keep this forward. You can't let it track back. Yeah. So again, if it's too painful, then don't do it.
Hi, Jay. I'm just over at SPC for the
So what I want you guys to play with, we can get one person on this side, one person on this side, one person on the other side, is we'll now go in this like mid-propulsion position, all right? And we're going to kind of work on keeping, again, this kind of canister stacked. We're going to drop straight down. I want this knee to go as far forward kind of as we can. I'm just going to hold this here like this, and we're going to get 5 breaths, all right? If you don't feel this front leg working, it's probably because the knee's too far back. And now I've got more weight shifted in here. I'm going to feel this stretching out quite a ton, all right? So I want to be kind of here, right? We can even do this to kind of find that upper back position, or we can kind of keep our hands out here. And we're just going to drop straight down for you guys, for our other guys. All right, and you can kind of pump up and down if you want with some reps, or just hold it there and get a couple breaths, and just tell me what you notice in terms of fatigue in the legs. All right, so Doug can go like right here. Elisa, you can go like on this side. Noelle, you can go right here. Might be a little too high. You can try it. You can try it. One of you guys hop in on that side. Oh, is it?
Huh?
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's going to hurt.
All right, so hang on. Here's the thing is, if I've already got this foot so far back that my knee is behind my hip, I'm already in a, it's going to be hard. So move, there you go. So you guys, you can go here. Yeah. All right. So tuck the ribs down and back, tuck the tailbone. There you go, dog. Right? Let this guy go forward.
Yeah, I don't want to. It doesn't want to.
right?
Yeah.
So let me see.
It doesn't hurt, but it feels like it wants to hurt. Does that make sense?
No, seriously, because forever, like he and I were talking earlier, like your knee never
Hold this
goes
right
above-
here.
in front
Good.
of your ankle.
Bring your chest back a little bit. There you go. Tuck your tailbone. Good. Hold that. Breathe. You should feel a lot of this. You should feel this guy starting to do some stuff. Push hard through this heel. Awesome.
It's not terrible.
See, Lisa?
I feel like a
Stretch.
stretch in
Yeah,
the front
yeah,
here.
yeah.
I felt it in this knee.
All right. So
Left knee pain doing that?
No.
come up out of it for a second.
I do.
You do.
So let's look at that camera real quick.
I get left knee pain.
Now it feels swollen.
Hold that. Push rib cage back a little bit. No, tuck your tailbone. Hold that. Yep, right there. What do you got?
I got no pain. Right
Keep
now,
breathing.
For some reason.
Get your hands off there. Go, see it.
Yeah.
How
Hold
long
it.
do I have to stay here, Tommy?
Good, come out of it.
Good knee. Let's see the bad knee.
So I
What do you
must
feel
have been
working?
Too far back. Right here.
Yeah, good, come on up.
I must have been too far.
Yeah, so hey, remember, right? If we just look at this from the side, and this knee is back behind this hip, that's gonna get ripped apart. All right, and especially if I do this, now it's like really in. Yeah. So if I'm here, right, I'm now dispersed. Like this is pretty straight. I feel good really here. These guys are doing a ton of work. It's not a stretching sensation. It's more of this like, man, that leg's on, right? Because normally what we'll feel is either if I'm too far back, like, holy crap, this thing's ripping apart at the front of my hip, right? Or I'm going to have to do this, right? And now I'm kind of really, straining the crap out of it. And again, it goes back to our conversation earlier. If I've got someone that can't move through this segment and they can't figure this out,
Is this wrong?
no, let us come forward even more. Yeah, drop down. Tuck your tailbone a little bit. Yeah, breathe.
I'm feeling it in this leg.
Yeah, push hard through this heel.
But not pain in your knee.
Heel. Yeah.
Breathe. So you might be, again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, we might need a,
I'm one side versus the
Another.
other.
so way too far
I
back,
felt it in my
Lisa.
left quad and both.
This has to come forward first, right? You have to keep pushing that. Yeah, you got to bring this foot even closer now.
I know, totally different than what I'm thinking.
All right, so what do you notice?
I noticed that my knees don't hurt. Except for that right there.
All right, well, just don't fart and you'll be fine.
I'm doing great.
So here's the thing is, there's a thing this guy was talking about the other day where he's like, all right, in this toe touch position, we're going to do this. I want you to clench your butt cheeks on the inhale and then exhale and let it relax as you do it. And I was like, how do you cue that?
So I get to a certain point on this side and it hurts.
All right, so here's the thing, Nose. You're leaning so far forward over that leg again. You're already way over here, right, which is going to probably change this. So don't go as low. I want you just to kind of find this position, tuck, and then drop in. It is not exaggerated. All right, so you see how you already backing your foot up? So hang on, no. If she's backing her foot up, what is she trying to do? She's trying to put weight into her back foot. Yeah, so your front leg doesn't have to load it all, right? Because you want this knee to come back behind this ankle, right? Is this leg in a good position to do work way back there? Nope. It's going to rip the shit out of the front of that leg. All right. So your first thing is always to get really short and start to do this. Probably the other reason why is because it probably hurts, right? It hurts some of those things.
No pain.
So you're trying to manage a situation by going like, all right, if I go back this way, I don't think it's going to hurt as bad, but I'm definitely going to put it into this back knee, right? So if we can, like right about there is probably where I tell you to try to hold it for a second. Don't worry about going all the way down yet. All right, so again, this is directly over this. I need it way the hell out in front. All right, now don't lean forward. That's your knee. All right, so come back up. All right, so stand up. You're again leaning forward to like try to get out of one of these things. Get right here. Get this foot much closer. Yep. Hold this right here. Tuck your tailbone. Get tall. Yep. Now tuck your tailbone again. All right. You got to get off this there. What feels different there? I can still hear this thing cracking like an old person. All right. Do you feel this working? Push forward. Now do you feel weight in this leg? Does that feel as bad? Tuck your tailbone a little bit more. Yeah. Keep pushing
Now
forward.
this knee's proper.
Yeah. Breathe. Is this working?
No.
Is this working?
Yes.
All right, good. Relax, get out of there. All right, so you can see like immediately her preference is to be like, all right, I'm going to go really wide. I'm going to keep this knee back. The only thing though is it now puts this guy in a really poor position. So no matter what we're doing, it's going to kind of put one in the bad. What we might try that, right? See if all of a sudden we have a different feel in that front foot. Get that foot as close to that box as you can. There you go. Right? Now let that knee go forward. Yep, and then just bend that back knee. Yep, stay tall. Don't lean forward. Good. Tuck your tailbone. Right there. Keep pushing this guy forward. Yep. Is this leg doing any work? What is doing work?
This leg is not doing any work?
No. All right, so come on off there real quick. Again, you're trying to put weight into the back foot. You know how we know? Because her heel is trying to get to the ground. All right, so that is how my heel should look if I'm able to drop straight in. That is how my heel wants to look. And I'm exhausting the calf may be pulling on the back part of that knee really hard because I'm stretching the shit out of it. You know what might be interesting? So we can try this. So again, Noelle can probably bring her chest back a little bit, right? So remember, we want to keep this stacked. So so here's something else you can So here's the thing is, it doesn't really, if I was better understanding some of this stuff, here's what we know, right? Early propulsion, mid propulsion, late propulsion. If I can get competency, so if I'm in mid propulsion, that's usually a better exhalation state. So if I need someone that maybe needs more exhalation, I'm probably going to go here and that'll probably give you a better place to do so. If I'm someone that needs a little bit more inhalation, I can probably get down here or even up here and might find an easier position. But it starts to train you through some of these full excursions. Eccentric orientation and concentric orientation is kind of like, all right, if I want to kind of bias myself to the eccentric part of it, I'm going to inhale. Inhale again because this is like the very bottom of late propulsion. And then come back up. That's kind of like putting all the pieces together. Right now, all I think we're good at is figuring out what position should we be in, how do we bias some of this stuff, and then we can worry about that later. All right, so Doug can push his ribs back a little bit, right? You can keep this heel up, right, and kind of tuck that underneath a little bit more, all right? And what do you feel?
Just solid, stable, like it doesn't go anywhere.
Here's the thing is, he's biased to inhalation.
Like I can go
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
I feel right here.
Here, and here's the thing is, he should be feeling some of that quad running onto that space, all right? Now,
I just feel all locked. I feel locked in.
so come on back up.
Yeah, like the whole left, everything.
Leg is working.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a different sensation than what you would normally feel on like reverse lunges or split squats sometimes.
Yeah, usually I'm like fired up here
Yeah,
or
yeah.
on the leg that's back.
Right? And for someone that is probably a little bit more wide or inhalation biased, he's probably a little bit more on his toes, which we are going to usually feel these big muscles right at the top, right? Where someone that is a little bit more narrow, we're trying to usually get back into that hip, right? Because I don't want that knee to go forward. I want to kind of bias so I can get into this space, and I'm going to feel this a little bit more, which isn't wrong because if we're deadlifting and stuff like that, yeah, I kind of want to feel this, but I should also still feel these things, right? So let's go with let's go over to the hamstring curl machine because this will kind of be the last thing we finish out with and give us another piece to play with. So one of the things, huh? I didn't say I didn't want it. I said we use it that much, but now it's a staple. Karen wasn't right. Oops.
Oh, no, you did not. I really think that's true.
I didn't think it was going to come on. All right. Okay, so what we've been playing with is if we have someone that's got a really tough time with feeling their hamstrings, and also like we tried our 99 breathing, we've tried supine hook lying, any of those positions, because like if we do that correctly, we can kind of feel like everything working at once. Like you said, you just feel locked in, like everything's kind of on. if we're in the right position, I think Boyle puts it, the way he says it, I think is like the best. He's like, what's working when I do this? Right? And everyone's like, oh, it's your hamstrings. It's like, no. Everything in that leg has to work to hold you upright. Because if either one of them gave out, we would just kind of like fall to the floor. So again, we are probably eccentrically orienting one muscle as we go into like the other one's concentrically oriented, and then as we come back, we're back up. So technically, everything we do should work this whole thing the same way. It may be just biased a little bit towards one thing more than the other. So what we're doing with this hamstring curl machine is we're getting people we're getting people in this position, and normally they'll just be here like this and doing this and coming back, right? What we want them to do is actually tuck their tailbone, we'll reach them out, we'll drive the hands in and get a breath. Now, for someone that is wide, we can go dorsiflexion with the ankles, we can go IR with the hands and wrists, we're going to go a little bit of tailbone tuck. We don't need a ton, but what we should then feel is like, man, these hamstrings are lighting up. All right, now if it was someone with, maybe we need a little bit more inhalation, we can go still here and point the toes down and do the same thing. What it does is it allows us to find a kind of a position that they don't have to think so much about what's happening here and maybe fight against gravity or, in a split stance, and then they can kind of feel these hamstrings. It might be the entry level stuff, like I'm not sitting here be like, all right, we need to do 1,000 reps out in the hamstring curl machine, but it kind of gives us an opportunity for some of these kids, especially for some of our athletes, that are like, I don't know, my knees always hurt, my back hurts. If you put them in any position, kind of like where you're at right now, any squatting or kind of deadlifting, I'm like, I kind of feel this stuff. It kind of helps do that. You're up first. Let's try it. All right, so we want, you need to come forward a little bit. All right, so go ahead and get up there. You want this moved or you're good?
No.
I think you're good. All right, so we have a narrow, correct? Mm-hmm. All right, so go ahead, curl it underneath you.
Curl.
No, just pull it down. Pull it down underneath you.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so you can point your toes a little bit. You're going to bring your hands out, palms up. Good. We've got tailbone tucked a little bit. You're good. What do you feel working right now?
My hamstrings.
Really? On this machine? Why?
So weird.
So go how hard was it?
Well, it was hard.
All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to cycle 5 breaths. All right? Remember, all right, 5 breaths just like that. All right, and I'm just feeling, can she get expansion in her back? Yep. All right, and then what was Lisa, what was some of the stuff that was like not great on you? All right, come on out. Let's just try some stuff. All right, anybody else wants to jump in there quickly and try it, go for it. So let's just check. Like left hip flexion.
Yeah.
Too heavy for me.
So my leg moves
Yep. Did it hurt?
a little bit.
Okay. Like IR and ER didn't feel good either. That's actually pretty good. Relax. That's about it. What on this bugged you? Overhead flexion or the IR or the ER?
IR.
Both of them?
I'm gonna pull a hamstring.
Relax.
Is that 5 breaths already?
So that I can actually go further.
Than before?
Is this on video?
What about that one?
Great.
Actually, Tommy's blocking you.
Do it again?
Don't worry.
Yeah, but you can hear me.
Who can't hear you?
Move out of the way so I can see Bring to the sun.
That's what you told me to do.
I know, but what are you going? Like, are you whispering to the wind?
Taylor gave me his ailment that he spread around here.
So here's the thing, guys. We know that Karen has a tough time fully exhaling. She would be a perfect candidate for a balloon, right? To really force all that air out. Because what she likes to do is just like,
No, I like to.
so just do me a favor. Try to blow a hole through the window. when you exhale. Yeah, there's one hold. Yeah. So go in through your nose. Blow hard. Blow, 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 blow. Get one more breath. Blow hard, 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 hard. Good. I'm gonna let it come up slowly. Yep. You see how remember we were talking about earlier, if I just focus on that exhale, this should happen. What was stuck or good or bad on her?
I thought you were pluses across the board.
By the way. So show me a squat right now and just tell me let's see what it looks like. Yeah, without your heel lift. Just see if it looks any different. Also, what'd you notice?
Nothing hurt.
That actually looked really good, especially for someone that's narrow. Yeah. Right. So.
Does it need to be hard?
So we'd actually probably need to back you up.
Yeah, like I feel like I need
Yeah.
to pull back.
Good. Yep. So toes up. Right. You can go here.
But is it about like?
You're right where they are. Just let yourself slouch a little bit. So there you go. Good. Now reach your hands out. Yep. Think about curling your heels to your butt as hard as you can. Yep. All right, and then you're gonna go.
Yeah, that's just what it does. I couldn't get anywhere if I turned it in. Yeah, but if I turn my foot in, my knee goes, it's like I'm not lined up the right way.
Are you feeling these guys doing some stuff?
Push my knee out.
It's not that heavy.
So then, come back up. Let's put some more weight on it.
I can't get there.
All right, so just roll the tailbone. No, you don't have to lean forward, right? We just kind of want to bring the ribs down a bit. A little bit more tension.
Could you check
Remember breathing through your nose.
My knees don't hurt.
So
Put it up and wait.
he did. So you say your knees don't hurt as much after doing that?
Well, I just did a couple of squats. It's not terrible. I feel them, but they're not so terrible.
So think about this for a second, right? If my natural way that I want to do stuff is to do this, right? I'm feeling the stretch out. The only thing is it's in a position that's like really lengthened. So I'm feeling tension there, but it's not necessarily the place maybe that I want to get it to hold it in place. So if all of a sudden you're like, oh, it just feels better, it's probably because I'm not jamming back into an end position. So like you would think, Doug, let's just check IR on that left leg, and maybe IR on both and see what we got. Yep, so it's right now good. So like that. I mean, that's pretty much where you keep getting on like a good day, right?
I don't feel anything.
Yeah. What about there?
Feels fine.
All right. So I would say you've got IR back on that left leg. Oh, that's not too bad compared to the other day.
That's better than
Yeah. We'll see what this one is.
We'll see. This is a bad one.
If hair better, nothing like. What do you like? And Dylan, what do you think? Right, compared to before. A little bit better. I mean, before he was like still up here, and it felt like someone was like cemented the shoulder in the position. Yeah, and it came back. So if we can, the big thing is like, if we can get some of these things to like, the good part is all this stuff is like things we can load, train, and get after it. It's not just our breathing drills we were doing before. So if like, we put that left arm up and we do a couple elevated squats, we might restore that really quickly and not have to spend a ton of time on band work. We still got to figure out how to position you when you do this stuff so that we're not just trying to jam and protect that knee, because ultimately I think what's happening is you're protecting the knee but stiffening up a low back, which is going to pull down that chain anyways. And then for like, we found like just elevated squats and stuff like that has been helping quite a bit. We know that Doug toes up and some deadlifting will probably help promote keeping some of that IR, which is what he needs. I mean, that's ideally what we should be able to do. Is it's not like we're gutting out exercises, it's we're putting it more towards what you like kind of either need or are really good at. Yeah. And that's the same thing we find with some of our athletes is like, man, as soon as we give them a heel lift in their squat, I'm like, perfect, see you later, you can just load this. Or a lot of times what I'm finding is like with our single leg squats with people that are more kind of inhale biased that want to be in your toes, you give them a toe lift and all of a sudden like, oh yeah, I feel much more stable, right? One of the things I'm writing right now that guy Bill was talking about when the shoe video is if I can't find my heel during like gait, the chances of me rolling an ankle is much higher, right? And we have girls like Alyssa, yeah, who this girl lives on her toes. She almost killed me yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I'm standing by the column, and she comes side shuffling in and just goes to stop and goes, and almost literally like bowls me over. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? And every day it's something new about this joint doesn't feel good, that joint. And you literally see, I'm going to probably ask this question, literally you see these people do this all day long. Right? And they're just kind of like rolling around on their foot. And it doesn't make any sense because you need the heel in order to control. So if I have my heel planted, it doesn't go anywhere. As soon as I peel that up, it's going to roll all the way out. And if we think about ankle sprains, if that heel never comes down, the chances of me rolling that ankle is much higher. So for our inhaled people, I would assume they have a much more bias towards that kind of injury. For our heel-driven people, I'm almost going to think like they got more low back stuff. I don't know if I'm right, but that seems to be the case in what we're looking at. Okay? Awesome stuff.